Hello and welcome back to A for Space, and in this video I'd like to share my experience of listening to Major Tim Peake's lecture about astronauts' quest to explore space in Oxford. Here is a brief summary of that tour. It started off with the evolution of flying, which started off with the Wright brothers, who were the first people to fly, for an incredible 12.8 seconds. I know, incredible. And then as planes started advancing, the invention of the jet engines, but then people had already reached the sky, so they had to find somewhere else, and that was space. Now, to go to space, a jet engine is not going to cut it. You're going to need something hypersonic, something that goes around Mach 25, and Mach 1 is the speed of sound, so 25 times the speed of sound, which is very fast. And this started a race between the US and the Soviet Union to who can get a rocket into orbit of the Earth the fastest. And the Soviet Union won that race. They got their first satellite in orbit, the first human in orbit, and many more. And then once they conquered space, people looked further away to the moon. Now, low Earth orbit is not too far away. You can drive, if you drive straight up in a car, it only takes around like a few hours to reach space. To reach the moon, if you drive by a car, it would take quite a long time. Incredibly long time, maybe a couple of years. Depends on how fast you're going. Now, and also you have to come, it's a far journey. It's compared to a short haul trip just to get into orbit and then back down again in Earth orbit. If something goes wrong, it's not super hard to get things to save it. But around the moon, it would take maybe 3 days to help. Now, the winner in the space race to the moon was the US, because they got Apollo 8 in orbit of the moon first, and then Apollo 11, the first one to touch down on the surface of the moon, and the Neil Armstrong stepping out onto the surface for the first time. So Neil Armstrong was the first person to step on the moon, and Buzz Aldrin was the second. But the third person is someone who may not have been that known, Pete Conrad, who got rejected from the program a couple of times for some medical thing. But when he stepped on the moon, he said, "It may have been a small step for Neil, but it was a big step for me," because he was the shortest astronaut out of everybody in the section who went to the moon. And the final 3 missions, Apollo 15, 16, and 17, had rovers. And these rovers went at a whopping 8 miles per hour. Super fast, right? Now, after this race to the moon, it was quite expensive, that race. But so they started focusing more in low Earth orbit, and they started building space stations. One such example is the International Space Station, or the ISS, which Major Tim Peake went there himself and also did a spacewalk. And the spacewalk was the most fundamental part of the mission. And also the Soviet Union was also the first ones to have an actual spacewalk. And there was also the space shuttle. And the space shuttle was probably one of the toughest vehicles to maneuver because, well, it was huge. It had, and especially in landing, you had to land it a bit like a glider. It's not like it's like a capsule which just touches down in the ocean, and it doesn't really matter where it lands because, well, as long as the rescue services can come and get you, you're fine. And as long as you don't land in some jungle in the middle of nowhere, you're fine. Whereas with a space shuttle, you require a long runway. And there were many more ideas in that tour. And if you want to, you can go there yourself. Anyway, thank you for watching.